With Amazon Prime Day coming down the pike, this might be the best time to either do a brand new gaming PC build or upgrade your existing build. But there's some huge Prime Day mistakes that you should absolutely avoid. Welcome back to PC Builder. I'm Jason. This is Boost My Build Amazon Prime Day edition for June 2026. We're going to go through two builds. The first is going to be an $800 AM4 PC upgrade. For those of you out there thinking about the 5800X3D, does that CPU actually make sense or should you upgrade something else? Then we've got a $1,600 1440p gaming PC build that's got some real issues out there, overthinking it for Amazon Prime Day. If you get value out of this video, please give it a like, of course subscribe for more cool PC content. Let's jump into it. This video is sponsored by Seasonic. For PC enthusiasts looking for ultimate performance, Seasonic's flagship Prime TX 1300 delivers. ATX 3.1 and PCIe 5.1 compatible with 1300 watts powering even the most insane PC builds. The Prime TX 1300 now comes with an updated 12-volt 2x6 cables for increased safety and reliability with RTX 50 series GPUs. And Seasonic's digital fan control means the PSU stays cool and quiet under load. And it just won the 2026 Best PSU Series Award from the European Hardware Association. Check out Seasonic Prime TX 1300 using the link in the video description. All right, we got Tensai. They're in the US and they have an existing build upgrade, and you're going to see why I picked this in just a moment. I think a lot of you in the same boat right now, especially with the 5800X3D coming during Amazon Prime Day, kind of right in the middle of it. And they say that they want high 1440p gaming like Cyberpunk, Silent Hill 2, Final Fantasy, I think that's 16 there. So many Roman numerals, I don't know what to do with them. All right, let's see what you got. Whoa, that is a list and a half. Look how many parts you got in there. We're not going to go through all of them, but I want to just generally go over the build because I know a lot of you are in the same situation. You've got an AM4 build, and I actually like this one quite a bit, by the way. You're like, I don't know what to upgrade here. I'm not happy with the current level of performance, and I'd like to go up with the performance. For those of you looking to upgrade during Amazon Prime Day in 2026, I want you to take a look at your CPU, your GPU, and your current gaming monitor. In the current environment, RAM prices are super high, SSD storage is super high in price. Those are the things I don't want to upgrade if I don't have to. If I'm doing a new build, obviously, which we'll do, yes, you're gonna have to buy them. In this particular case, we've got 32 gigabytes in a 4x8 gigabyte kit for DDR4 3200 CL16. This is the Corsair LPX memory. That's fantastic stuff. I don't want to have to upgrade this unless I absolutely have to. Remember, 4.6 is great for DDR4, not so much for DDR5. I don't recommend 4.6 configuration for DDR5. And if this is already running really, really well on this ASUS TUF B550-F gaming Wi-Fi motherboard, which I used to have myself, fantastic motherboard, by the way. I really, really do like it. It's a premium B550. Now, B550 is now a budget platform. Obviously, you bought this when it was still kind of the latest and greatest. And you've got the Ryzen 5600X with it, which right now would cost me $176. Obviously, you have it for free right now. And we've got a pretty good cooler with it, which is the Thermalright Peerless Assassin 120 SE. It's a dual tower cooler. It's overkill for the 5600X, but if we wanted a 5800X3D, this would be a fantastic cooler for it. So yes, it kind of starts opening those upgrade doors. So the question is, do you want to upgrade to the 5800X3D or do we want to go with something else? And I want to look, number one, at the GPU. So let's take a look at the RX 5700 XT 8GB GPU. This is our pain point right now. This is our massive bottleneck for our system. And this is just not a 1440p GPU anymore. It's barely a 1080p GPU in 2026. And when it came out in 2019, it was fantastic. But like all things, it gets older, technology moves on, and it's time to put this GPU to rest, basically. Now, there are two ways that we could go about upgrading this. We could either get rid of this whole system. Maybe you can sell it for $200 or $300 and do a brand new build, or we're going to dump more money into the existing system here. Probably only get $200 or $300 for the system. That'd only be about $1,000. We'd still be in AM4 territory. That doesn't make any sense to me. I want to go ahead and upgrade this system instead. The question is, where do we spend our money to upgrade, right? We've got the 5600X. We could go with a 5800X3D, but we've got a really low-end GPU, and that 5600X still has some headroom left, even for some of the higher-end GPUs. Yes, we will be slightly CPU bottlenecked, but it's one way to consider. I also want to focus in on the gaming monitor here. Had we had a better GPU that we might even want to keep, I would probably look at upgrading our gaming monitor as one of our top priorities. And the reason for that, as we went over in our best 1440p gaming monitor video that we just released, you should check it out for any deals, especially around Amazon Prime Day, is that while RAM and SSD prices are sky high, gaming monitor prices have never been cheaper across the board. You can get OLED for as little as $350 right now, LCD 1440p, including things like this, 180 hertz, well below $200. In fact, you can get 320 hertz, great gaming monitors, about $200. So that's just one area to check. Now, that being said, I like the gaming monitor you already have. It's relatively new. It's about 180, I think it's 200 hertz with the overclock on it. I wouldn't necessarily change this out given how weak our GPU is. All right, let's try upgrading this with a Ryzen 5800X3D. That's the one everyone's pining away for. All you AM4 owners out there, you're like, I missed out on the 5800X3D the first time. The 5700X3D I missed out on as well. I want to get the 5800X3D, and this is what AMD announced, that basically it's going to arrive on June 25th, right smack dab in the middle of Prime Day, for $349, which, as I said in our AMD Computex video announcement, was silly pricing. Silly pricing. We've seen this CPU for as low as $270-ish, and then the 5700X3D got all the way down to $180. I didn't understand. Yes, I know things are more expensive right now because AI is eating all the silicon production, so yes, they're going to pay more to produce it. I get that. This seemed a little excessive to me, but what is that going to leave us in terms of an upgrade? If you look here, I think, especially if you have a Ryzen 5000 series CPU, I don't know if the 5800X3D, unless you're going to get a relatively high-end GPU, is actually going to give you the performance difference you're looking for. These are AMD's numbers, just kind of caveat there. For the 5800X, the 3700X, and the 2700X upgrade to a 5800X3D. So what do you get? Obviously, if you have a 2700X, it's almost a no-brainer to upgrade to the 5800X3D, even with a more mid-range GPU, because you're going to get tons and tons more FPS. The 3700X starts to make a little less sense, but still it's quite a bit more if you have at least a mid-range to upper mid-range GPU. But the Ryzen 5000 series CPUs and the 5600X games very close to the 5800X, despite the core count difference, is really about the cache on those CPUs. Only about 16%, and that's with an RTX 5090. That difference is going to vanish with a lesser GPU, and it's also going to vanish as we go up to 1440p from 1080p. So to me, I don't see the value in upgrading a Ryzen 5000 series system if you only have about $800, because what did that leave us for the GPU? Only about $450. The only thing I can find right now, and of course there will be Amazon Prime Day discounts, I'm sure, especially on GPUs like this, but I don't expect them to get much lower than $400. But right now you could pick up the RX 9660 XT OC XFX Swift model, really nice one with 16 gigs of VRAM. Let's check out the performance of this. What would that get us in terms of our overall performance? This is Tech PowerUp's RX 9070 GRE 12 gigabyte review. Let's scroll all the way down here at 1440p. They don't even have the 5700 XT on here anymore. Just note that they got the RTX 3060 at the bottom. It's probably about 10 to 15% slower than the 3060 at 43 average FPS at 1440p. So already we can tell that GPU, the 5700 XT, would be in a lot of trouble at 1440p in a lot of different titles, especially with the 8 gigs of VRAM. The 9060 XT 16 gigabyte, we jump all the way up there. It basically performs very similarly to the RTX 3070 Ti, but it has 16 gigs of VRAM, so you'd be looking at closer to 70 average FPS across all titles. Obviously, if you're going to play competitive shooters and you're going to turn it down to like lower settings, which is what you should generally do, you're going to get tons more FPS than that, but that's really good across a 23 game average. But what if we instead consider just dumping all of our money into our graphics card right now and not upgrading the CPU at all, because our CPU is still pretty serviceable even in 2026. So here we go. I went ahead and dumped all $650 and I still have $150 left over. Now, I don't know where I'm going to use it because looking at the rest of the build, you're kind of good everywhere. I'm not sure I would spend any additional money. Maybe go buy a couple of games instead and just save the money, or you go take yourself out to dinner a couple of times instead, because you can pick up right now, even before big Amazon Prime Day, the RX 9070 XT is down to $649. They got the Gigabyte OC one here. They've also got the Ice model if you want an all white one. At Amazon, they had it at Walmart the other day. And I do expect possibly these to get maybe down to $629. I think I would maybe not even wait till Prime Day, and I might just snap this up, especially since Prime Day is so close. You could cough, always return it if prices changed around. $649, fantastic deal right now. But what would that get us in terms of additional FPS performance here? Well, we were looking at the 9060 XT 16 gigabytes. So let's scroll all the way up and put that one at the bottom. because that's what we're going to need to do in order to find the 9070 XT. Look at that all the way at the top, 118 average FPS versus 68 average FPS. It's almost double, very, very close basically. FPS. Now, I know some people already typed in the comments, yes, Jason, but the 5600X is going to CPU bottle. Sure. The 5600X in some titles is definitely going to CPU bottleneck us. If we turn it down to basic settings and just really hammer it at like, low resolution 1080p or 1440p at like CS2, yes, we're going to get fewer frames than we normally would with a 9800X3D, a 7800X3D, or even a 5800X3D. But we don't have the money to do both. And I still think we're going to get way more FPS by going with the 9070 XT 16 gigabyte instead of upgrading the CPU and the GPU at the same time. So if it were up to me, I personally would pick this list here with only upgrading the GPU all the way up to the 9070 XT 16 gigabyte. And then in the future, just kind of taking your chances in terms of the CPU upgrade. The only thing I can think of right now is maybe one of the reasons not to do that upgrade and grab a 5800X3D is these may be a limited run. We know they ran out before. We know the 5700X3D ran out before. So it's entirely possible that if you don't get one now, you never will. Now, maybe that's not the worst thing. Maybe you'll just go to Zen 6 or Zen 7 at some point when you're ready to upgrade in the future. I would just consider all that. And then, of course, you could consider, hey, if I do want the 5800X3D and I do want a good GPU upgrade, maybe I just find an extra $200 right now because it's going to get me through probably a couple more years. I'll put in a 9070 GRE, that's a GPU you could get, an RTX 5070, and I'll kind of go more in the middle, but it will require more money. All right, we've got Abdatati, I hope I said that right, in the US. This is a brand new build. Their budget is $1,600. The budget is for the PC only. They don't need a gaming monitor for it. They're saying, I'm asking for any help to keep the performance close to value without losing the identity of the build. Their AIO and their cases are non-negotiable. No, anytime that gets said, I'm just like, This build will work as a light streaming and gaming, mostly League of Legends and Valorant AAA titles, 1440p, I think is what you mean to say. So it looks like we're playing more on the competitive side of things. All right, let's see what you got. I get it. I get why you're doing this. I just hate it. I really wish people would stop doing this. What am I talking about? Well, let's start off with the budget. You finish out at $1,562.66, and the performance is fine. I can see your struggle though. I can see why you're saying, I feel like I should be getting more performance for the amount of money that I'm invested. And it's not just the fact that RAM and SSD prices has gone up, although that is a big factor here. It's the way we've configured our build that I think is causing us consternation right now. But let's jump, of course, into the GPU. You went with the ASUS Prime RTX 5070 12 gigabyte. Right now it's $641. It's kind of too expensive. There are typically ones around $609, and you have been getting, at least until I think the 16th, you're getting the 007 game with it. So basically going under MSRP if you take the value of the game in. Unfortunately, you have to make sure it's in your cart at the time of checkout. Amazon has been not the best about that, typically Newegg, but there are usually models like the Shadow, for instance, you can get for $609 right now as I'm filming this, and other ones, the Ventus, similarly about $610 with the game, and those are pretty good value. But let's talk about some of the Prime Day build mistakes you're making right now. And this is a huge Prime Day mistake, I think. If you want to buy something, it's probably now is the time to do it. And a lot of people are trying this trick, which is they're getting a single stick of DDR5 6000 memory that's 16 gigabytes. And their idea here is to get a second stick at some point in the future. You're just going to buy the identical stick and I'll have 32 gigs of RAM. The question is, when are you going to buy that stick and how much performance are you going to lose in the meantime? It's quite a bit more than I think you might be expecting. Now, for the case you went with the Corsair 3500X is one of your, I have to have it. Why? I don't really understand. We'll keep this case if we have to, but let me just share with you some downsides here because there's a lot of cases just like this on the market. Now, this one uses tinted glass. Maybe it's the tint that you want on it, where the other ones are more clear, but you can get plenty of cases like this. The problem I have with the 3500X is that it's $80, and it comes with 3 included ARGB fans, which is great, but it doesn't come with an exhaust fan. You have to buy another fan. It's probably gonna be about $15 for a Corsair fan, maybe like 20 something dollars for a Corsair fan. So that makes this case like over $100. There are a lot of great cases like the Lee & Lee VR100, for instance. Fantastic case. We've built several times in it in this year. Absolutely love it for $75 and comes with everything you need. For the cooler, I don't know if you mean that having a 360 millimeter cooler is you have to have, or this particular cooler. There's nothing special about the Thermalright Aqua Elite V3. It's a great budget cooler, recommend it for a long time. They have the V6 out now. I think it's a little bit quieter, a little bit better, but not so much that I wouldn't necessarily buy this if you like love the design aesthetic. $55, it's not a bad cooler to buy if you want 360 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler. You're looking at that for that particular aesthetic. But let's talk about the CPU that goes with it here, because you went with the Ryzen 9600X, which I think right now, as things sits, would be probably the CPU I picked, because the 7500 or 7600X rather is like $5 cheaper. So obviously get the 9600X. Could also consider the 7500F. It's about $140, and you're going to get similar performance with an RTX 5070. Again, this is not a 5090, this is a 5070, so that's another way we can consider. But we could also consider some of the Ryzen 5 X3D CPUs like the 7600X3D or 7500X3D, especially since you like those competitive titles where you will see those extra frames. For the rest of the build here, you went with the Gigabyte B850 Eagle Wi-Fi 6E. This is a great motherboard. On sale right now, $138. It's a B850, it's a decent mid-range board. There are some other boards out there that are a little bit more premium, but they come from ASRock, and I know not everybody wants to buy an ASRock board. Overall, though, I think this motherboard is great, especially at this price. And then for the PSU, you went with the Montech Century 2 850 watt. I don't know if we need 850 watts. Do we really need to spend 90 bucks on our PSU when we're trying to squeeze performance in other areas? It's a great PSU. If we decide to go this route, no harm, no foul here. I just think we could save at least a little bit of money. And then for the drive, I'm really not familiar with the Crucial E100 1 terabyte. I'm just gonna say it's on green PCB. So that to me tells me that this is a drive probably intended for OEM usage or possible server usage, but not usually. Usually the desktop stuff, they've at least colored the PCB. There's nothing wrong with green PCB. I just really suspicious of it, especially at $170. So overall, for $1,562.66, right up against our budget, I just feel like we're leaving a lot of performance on the table with some of our choices. I don't agree with the RAM choice. I don't think that's a good little gambit. I probably would go with a 2x8 gigabyte kit instead. We can go over performance. Overall, I just think we could do quite a bit better for about $1,600. Call this the $1,600 X3D gaming PC build in 2026, and you're gonna get silly high frame rates, especially compared to what you were just looking at for not much more money. In fact, look at that. I actually finished $20 cheaper than you. I finished that at $1,539.86. Let's call it $1,540. I've left a little extra money in the budget in case you're not able to pick up the combo deal that I have here, but you're only saving about $40 or $50 with the combo deal, so it's not that big a deal. But let's jump into what else? The GPU, of course, because we're gonna massively up that performance. We're gonna go with the RX 9070 XT Gaming OC, the Gigabyte one, $649. Now, here's the thing. I would probably go ahead and snap this deal up. If you see it go cheaper on Prime Day, buy the Prime Day one and then, just go and return this one, right? That's why this is a great deal. And I do expect other 9070 models to go on sale, but I would definitely secure this kind of as a starting point. The other thing is Newegg is very likely going to have combo deals with their GPUs where they've been bundling PSUs and all kinds of things. So double check those as well. So how much more FPS can we expect with our 9070 XT than the RTX 5070? Well, let's check this out. You wanted the RTX 5070 at 1440p across a wide range of titles. This is Tech Power Up Sapphire RX 9070 GRE Pulse Review. And then we've got the 9070 XT at 118 average FPS, crushing the 5070 by almost 20% there. Crushing that. FSR 4 is every bit as good as DLSS 4. I feel very, very comfortable purchasing that. $40 for that kind of performance. Let's jump into the rest of the build here. So what are we gonna do for our platform? I think we're gonna be on Ryzen AM5. I don't think Intel Core Ultra makes a lot of sense right now. And in particular, if you go over to Newegg combo deals, you'll notice a lot of the combo deals that had CPUs at the time of filming are gone. They're gone. Now, I suspect Newegg is just waiting until Prime Day gets a little closer, then they're gonna drop them again. However, If you want to get a more powerful gaming CPU like we're about to, I would take a look at a deal like this with the B650E Eagle. It's basically the same thing as the B850 Eagle, by the way, just FYI in terms of chipset, the motherboard you are going to get for $138 and a 2x8 gigabyte kit of DDR5 6000 CL38. Now, that's not that big a deal in terms of the CPU that we're about to get, as you'll see, and we're not going to lose FPS. You're going to lose about 10 to 15% with a single stick of RAM on non-X3D CPUs. That's why I just don't necessarily recommend doing that. And the other good thing is I would wait and see what they offer. It's possible that they will offer a great CPU combo deal as well. You could always pick that up. In the meantime, I went with the Ryzen 5 7600X3D for the insane and crazy price of $229. Folks, buy these up right now. These CPUs are significantly more performative than the 9600X or any non-X3D CPU out there. Get this, it's very, very close to the 7800X3D at a fraction of its price. Now, we may even see the 7800X3D come down to a silly low price. If so, you could always grab that. But again, I would pick this deal up right now because this is an all-time low price right now at $229. For the rest of the platform, now I went ahead and switched out your PC case to the Lian V100R. This is a fantastic case. You can, however, I have enough money left over in the budget. I wasn't sure I was going to get there, that you can go with that Corsair 3500X case and you can just buy an additional Corsair fan and go that direction instead. But I just want you to check this out. I love this case. $74. It comes with everything you need. If you want to do a micro ATX build, there's a micro ATX version of it for $65. And this has been my favorite case of 2026. I'm kind of all in on this case. It's got a cool RGB light strip here. It's got 4 included ARGB fans, 3 on the side, a reverse blade. It comes with everything you need. Cable management was a snap. It looks incredible. Comes in black and white. Fortunately, right now, sold out at Amazon. The black one is. Buy it at Newegg. I will leave them linked down in the video description. For the drive, I just wasn't sure about the drive you selected. I just switched it up to the Patriot P400 Lite. Fine PCIe Gen 4 drive for about $150. It's even about $16 cheaper than what you were looking at. Just check, by the way, if you're going to buy some things at Newegg, often you can combo deal. You can get like a $15 or $16 combo deal if you get this and the CPU at the same time, or get this and get the motherboard RAM combo at the same time. So just check that out. I would spend as little as I can on my SSD in 2026. For the cooler, I stuck out with the Aqua Elite. Now you could get a budget tower air cooler for the 7600X3D or even the 9600X if you decide to go with that CPU for some reason. I know you want a liquid cooler. I'm all in on liquid coolers. If we want some cool aesthetic to it, this is a good cooler for $54. You got the Sama L70 is another good option. If you want more cooling performance, you could also, especially since we have some money in the build, jump up to like the id Cooling FX360, the LCD version. We used that in our 9850X3D build guide earlier this year. It looked amazing with a nice LCD screen to it. So you have a number of options. That's why I left you a little bit money in the budget. Speaking of money in the budget, I decided to get a cheaper version of a PSU that's just as good. This is the Sama G750. It's 100 watts less in terms of overall power. We don't need all that power. This is perfectly adequate for the build that we're looking at here. It's ATX 3.1. It's A- tier rated on the SPL PSU tier list, just like the Montech Century 2 is, by the way. So the same rating. We're not really losing anything. We're just kind of right-sizing it to save about $20 that we can use somewhere else. So overall, for $1,540, we're going to get an amazingly performative 1440p gaming PC, frankly, even 4K capable with a super high-end GPU in the RX 9070 XT 16GB, 4 extra gigs of VRAM than you were looking at, and quite a bit more performance. We're going to get an X3D CPU that's going to crush anything non-X3D out there in the Ryzen 5 7600X3D for a crazy $229. We are taking advantage of some Newegg combo deals with the RAM and the motherboard out there to save ourselves some money, and we've got a banging looking PC for just about $1,550. So I hope you feel like your build is boosted. Remember, those builds are linked down in the video description if you want to check them out along with any Newegg combo deals. If you got value out of this video, please give it a like. It makes a huge difference to the channel, especially this guy right here who slept through the whole thing. And subscribe for more cool PC content. Like, did you check out our best 1440p gaming monitor video? It's right here. Do you want a new 1440p gaming monitor for Amazon Prime Day? Check out this list right here, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye, bye, bye.